Back now to our top story today, the report from the New York Times on donors and lobbyists getting lots of face time at the White House. There is growing concern that President Obama is making it even easier for those special interest groups to push their agendas. This, of course, is not, however, exclusive to the Obama administration. Presidents George W. Bush and President Bill Clinton had their own troubles with lobbyists. But did Barack Obama promise more when he was running for office? Joining me now, some men with some experience in this department. Andy Card, former White House Chief of Staff for President George W. Bush and acting dean of the Bush School of Government and Public Service at Texas A&M University. And Bernard Whitman, who is a former pollster for Bill Clinton. All right, guys, so this is very interesting to me because, you know, we started the hour with Chris Direwall talking about how all presidents do it. Who do you think they're going to have come visit the White House? People who don't support them, who haven't made any donations? But did President Obama promise us something more? I'll start with you on that one, Bernard. Did President Obama promise us something better, something more?
Megan, he absolutely did, and he's delivered in a number of ways. Let me go through a few of them. First, he has done actually more to limit the influence of access and money in politics than any president before him. He refuses to accept contributions from registered lobbyists. He does not allow executive branch employees to accept gifts from lobbyists. He does not allow his appointees to lobby the administration after they leave. He's the first president in history to regularly release the names of every visitor that has come to the White House, so anybody can check and see who's coming into the White House, who's leaving the White House. And like George W. Bush and John McCain, he releases the names of his bundlers, something that Mitt Romney has refused to do.
And yet, Andy, the New York Times, of all publications, has issued this scathing report on how, right, he doesn't accept contributions from registered lobbyists, but what he does is he has lobbyists brought to the White House by other groups, and those are the groups that get the access for the lobbyists who then make these major donations to the president's reelection campaign. Isn't any different from what your president did or the president before him?
Well, let me say, first of all, no politician is as smart as they claim to be, and no bureaucrat is as smart as they need to be, and they both need to be educated. And it's the lobbyists who help to educate people in government who are making decisions. So the vast majority of them are extremely ethical, follow the rules, and do the right thing. President Obama, however, put a standard out there that he is practicing hypocrisy around, because he is not as transparent as what was just suggested. There are people who claim that they are actually supposed to pay to play, which is against the law and not right. So I don't think that the president is wrong to say he wants to have smart people around him. I think he is wrong to say that if you come as a lobbyist, you've got to pretend you're not one, or you're not there to do what the Constitution says is legally and rightfully a First Amendment right.
Yeah, no one's saying that you can't entertain lobbyists. Right, there's no question that you can do it. There's just a question about how Barack Obama suggested when he was a candidate that he was going to change the culture, that he was going to diminish the influence of the lobbyists and the special interests, that they were drowning out the voices, and he was supposed to be so anti-lobbyist. Well, according to the Times, this is just one example, Bernard. They talk about Antoinette Bush, who's a well-connected Washington lawyer representing big communications companies from Viacom to Sony to News Corporation, the parent company of Fox News. She's a friend of the president. She's a cousin of his very close aide, Valerie Jarrett. She takes lobbyists into the White House. In particular, she went to an invitation-only forum about what? Intellectual property, the very thing that she and her clients care most about. What happened on that same day? Her husband gave the president's reelection campaign almost $36,000. Then another donation, the same amount, a month later. Then a couple months after that, an almost $18,000 a plate fundraiser for President Obama's reelection effort at their home. It stinks to the American people.
Well, look, I take some issue with that, because the fact is lots and lots and lots of people come to the White House for all sorts of reasons, political reasons, social reasons, all sorts of events. Many of them have contributed to the president. Many of them have supported the president. I think many, many more have not and have no likelihood to support, donate, or in any way give support to the president. So just the mere fact of attending a meeting in the White House, attending a meeting even in the Oval Office of the president.
Well, let me challenge you on that. Let me challenge you on that before I go back to Andy. Because let me challenge you on that, Bernard. Hold on, because the Times reports that among donors who gave $30,000 or less, about 20% visited the White House. If you gave more than $100,000, about 75% of those donors visited the White House. That's pure coincidence, Bernard.
No, I'm saying that it's no surprise. That happens in every administration. People that give money are more likely to get into the White House, but it in no way, shape, or form suggests that the person visiting who's advocating a particular policy stance is going to have that policy approved. There's lots of people who have visited the White House that get a firm but very resilient no from the White House.
Right, of course. No one's suggesting that he gives a yes to everybody who comes, Andy, but the question is whether it is business as usual at this White House, contrary to the expectations.
I think that President Obama raised the bar and has not been able to get over it. And I don't think this is treated the right way by the media. I think that he is practicing hypocrisy. And I also can tell you this, when I was in the White House, we had very strict ethics rules and very strict oversight from the counsel's office to make sure no line was ever crossed. No one had special access because they were a campaign contributor. Yes, people were invited to social events. Yes, we looked to make sure that we had good information when we were making tough decisions. But there was no pay for play or impression that if you made a contribution, then you could come to a meeting.
You know that the accusations against this White House go beyond come on over for a dinner, Bernard. That his critics, Barack Obama's critics, have suggested that even things like the loan to Solyndra was based on ties that the White House has to big Barack Obama campaign donors, that's the reason we put so much taxpayer money on the line for a firm that had red flags all over it.
I think that's absolutely untrue. I think that it merits investigation. It's been well investigated. There have been no indications that anything improper is done. But I tell you, if Mitt Romney is elected, we have a very clear indication of where this is going to go. Mitt Romney just sent out an email, I think over the weekend, inviting those people who would give $50,000 to his campaign to a presidential inaugural retreat, which I think is a little premature because he's got to win the election first. But he's basically said, you give me 50 grand, you can come to my first presidential inaugural retreat. I think that is a clear indication of where the Republican likely nominee would go in terms of money and access at the White House.
That's an interesting point. And if we have a President Romney, what changes?
Well, first of all, I think a President Romney, number one, he brings a practice of ethical behavior to the office. When he was governor of Massachusetts, he did a great job of living up to the expectations of ethics and doing the right thing. And he was in a tough state for a Republican to govern, and he governed well. I also think that as a businessman, he's got a phenomenal reputation for doing the right thing. I watched him work to bring the Olympics in Salt Lake City to a point where they could be held with great respect, and they were. And he cleaned up a mess that he inherited, and he didn't blame his predecessor.
But he's also said, I think it would be wise to let anybody give whatever they can to a campaign. That's what he said on record.
All right, guys, good debate. Thank you both so much. It's a pleasure seeing you both.
Thank you.
All right,
thank you.
See you soon. All the best.